make characters or make environments, and they have certain properties that are modulated somewhat by their intended use. But underlying all those things that we call 3D, what I think it really is, there's an underlying model. I think when you get to AutoCAD, for the most part, there's not a model. It's geometric. And you can think of handfuls of other products on the market that have that same property. There's not really a model underlying it. They have different ways of manipulating geometry. When I think you get to LT, I think it's a very capable 2D documentation system. And the one thing that we noticed over the years is that there was a market for people who needed a more casual tool. And that's what Project Cooper was about. And so I think in some ways we're doing two kinds of diversification. We continue to make products that are very specifically about building models for various industries, and at the same time trying to get the generic tools at appropriate levels of complexity, price points, and other things.
It's a new level of price points. So
yeah.
You've got Sketch, Cooper, LT. LT's gone quite high. AutoCAD's even higher again. I don't think any other vendor's got products at what you'll have at 4 different price points.
Yeah, I mean, I think most other vendors neither have, this or the horizontal. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, our product portfolio doesn't really, we don't spend a lot of time trying to map it to competitive ones or other ones. Obviously, we're responsive to what goes on in the market. But if you were to look at the whole portfolio, there really isn't any other company that I would hold up the portfolio against and try to get a comparison.
But you'll need a new channel for these lower price products.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, we've always seen that below a certain price point, our traditional channel. And I think if you look at our channel today, people don't recognize it so clearly, but amongst what people would traditionally call our value-added resellers, there really are two categories. There are value-added resellers, and there are really volume resellers. And, it differs by geography who those people are. But there are people who, the difference would be the value-added, they're tending to sell the higher value products. There's a big investment in the sales process. Towards the other end, it's much more like fulfillment. Companies that typically do it tend to carry hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of products. So we already do have a differentiated channel, although we may not do a great job at always explaining it that way, kind of lumping everyone together.
We do have another question in the room, but for folks on the phone, please dial *1 and the operator will patch you through.
Greg McKinney, Sun Media in Canada. Carl, selling expensive software in a sluggish economy is always a tough thing to do, no matter how good it is. What are you doing, I guess, from a sales and marketing point of view to try and jump that up a bit? And just a little more on that question, are you starting to see a little more loosening of the purse strings, I guess, here in the last while, now that the economy seems to be coming back a bit?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is, generally speaking, we are more affordable software than almost anyone else out there. And so there's certainly some price sensitivity amongst our customers, but many of our customers are already moving from something that's more expensive to something less expensive. I'd also say, like as Martin pointed out, we have a wide range of price points, and so people can choose, price points and different offerings appropriate. The real question about a lousy economy has just been the number of people that are employed to do certain jobs. The number of architects is just way down. An unemployed architect needs almost no product. I guess they need monster.com, or whatever. So that would be it. What I would see in terms of the rebound, I think it's varying a bunch by geography and by industry. On an industry basis, no doubt manufacturing is actually picking up faster than the other industries we serve. I think media and entertainment will follow, and I think architecture, engineering, construction is going to be the trailing one. Certainly when you think about the more mature economies. You think of Western Europe, you think of the United States, you think of Canada. When you get to other parts of the world, it's clearly very different. I just got back from China. Completely different what's going on there. So I think we've hit the bottom clearly in terms of the economy, modulo something as dramatic as Lehman Brothers collapsing, or Dubai defaulting happens again. And what I'm starting to see is a pickup in economy. You can certainly see it in manufacturing. You can look at economic indices like the ISM. You can also just see it in terms of contract manufacturers around the world in their business. And just when you look at the industrial sector in general, I think manufacturing is on the road to recovery. I think it's going to take a longer time for the construction business.
That being said, in AEC, are you going to be putting development dollars for eco-tech and other technologies that are for more sustainability and for things like retrofits and renovations rather than new construction?
Yeah, so it's a great question. It's one of the things that we started on, maybe a year ago, recognizing that where construction money was going to be spent was going to be much more, refurbishing and renovation rather than new construction. And so we've moved a lot of the development. And some of the things you can see, some of the energy analysis, more sustainable design tools for retrofit, some of the stuff you can see with the laser scanning really is for capturing existing conditions is one of its best uses. So in places like that. So we're continuing to invest in it. And I think the nature of the spend will change for a time. I don't think we've built all the buildings that we need that's going to come back. But I think certainly in the next 1 to 3 years, you will see less construction going on. And the nature of the kind of software we built has changed.
Jeff Morrow from CGarchitect. Last year you mentioned with cloud computing, Autodesk had no plans to get into the cloud compute business. I'm wondering with Project Twitch, are you developing that technology so that third parties can then use it as software as a service, or is Autodesk going to be getting into the cloud compute business?
So we're not going to get into I think we have to distinguish different things. We're not interested in getting into the infrastructure part of the market, have no interest in being in the data center business. This is going to be a very, very tough business. Let me give you an example. We have 2 applications that we run that are web-based applications. They both service about 500,000 people each. One has kind of a 5 nines level of service. In order to run that infrastructure, it costs us about $2 million a year. We have another application that we run that services about 500,000 people. We run it on one of the popular clouds out there. Our bill for last year was $18,000. I'm not sure we can hold a press conference for $18,000, let alone actually put out, be able to service, deploy servers, host applications, store data in a reliable way. So I think the price point is dramatically shifting. What I am interested in having us do, and that's, kind of to Ralph's question, was I'm very interested in us figuring out all kinds of different ways and services that take advantage of this. Because I do think fundamentally the platform that we're operating on is changing. We could argue in our industry, is it going to be 1 year or 3 years or 5 years? But I think, it's, when you rent a car at Hertz and it says, do not back up, severe tire damage. I think we're kind of in that model right now. We've passed the point where you can back up and say, this web-based stuff, it's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. Forget about the cloud. So I think it's going to be very important for us to give customers various ways to deploy it in these web-based offerings. And I would still say I haven't seen a role for Autodesk in providing anything from the infrastructure down.
Any other questions?
Hi, Al. Hi. Kenneth Wong from Desktop Engineering Magazine. Talk about web-based stuff. This is the first year that you launched Autodesk University Virtual, I believe. And I think that this somehow probably cut down the carbon footprint of this convention itself. But I also am interested in learning what it means for the future of the physical people meeting at Autodesk University as a convention where the real people meet.
Yeah. So I think